Second watch.
I swear to God, that thing gets louder every week.
I turned it down. I turned it down. I turned it down. Oh, every time, guys, I'm getting ready because I love my music loud. I'm like, Gary's gonna get mad, and I turn it down. But okay, Bacon, what's up, brother? Good to see you. We got Death Angel Shadows in the house as well. Good to see you, brother. Good to see everybody. We're back. I had to take some time off, personal time last week. Got some news somewhat related to that before we bring in our guest. Just wanted to give a heartfelt thank you to everybody who sent their well wishes. My wife thinks you as well. Grandma's doing well, but because she's home, but we'll see what happens next. But anyway, I do sincerely appreciate all the well wishes and whatnot. Missed you guys last week. So good to see everyone here. The other bit of news I have, so and Bacon's in chat. He's my hero. Bacon's been my hero. He's been going up against Drive-Thru RPG. Trying to figure out their print-on-demand rules and whatnot for my Shadowdark zine that I had to take down due to some errors on my part, and then just trying to figure out how the print-on-demand is working. But the Living Darkness, it will be back up, God willing, in the next week. But Bacon, thank you so much for your efforts on this. My God. Lulu is so much easier. It really is. It really is. If only Lulu saw what they had in their hands for the gaming community. But so please, I'll give an announcement on that once that's ready to go. But because I did get some inquiries about print on demand. So anyway, yeah, it's been crazy. I wish Lent was over.
That was such an enthusiastic, upbeat intro. Hey, everybody! Yeah, I know. We haven't been here for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, I'm done talking about your sad shit. Okay, so I've had a couple good things happen to me since we were last on. We played a game with Chubby. Matt couldn't be there, but it was awesome. And I got to tell a little story. So I live in this condominium community, and evidently they went to this new package service where if I would have checked my email, never check my email, I would have known there was an app that I was supposed to download to see if I had a package in this special box. So I went looking for a book I was supposed to have, and I downloaded the app and had to go through all the rigmarole, and it said that there was a box that had been waiting for me for 76 days. Now, here's what's hilarious. About a year ago, Matt Tapp tried to send me a box set of
my
Borderlands, and it bounced all over the United States until about 76 days ago when I bothered to check my email and saw that it finally made it.
You were getting so salty about that too.
I was so pissed off about that. The fuck? Anyway, so I have an extra box. I already told Reed is here in Austin. I'm going to meet up with him, maybe have a drink or something, and this is going to be
that's cool. Yeah.
But Matt, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. In another order, the book I was looking for was The Black Sword Hack.
Okay.
We can talk about that some other time. But anyway, yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Well, hell, if Reed gets into it, maybe we should play a little Barrows and Borderlands with Reed. I think that'd be great.
We'll see what happens, man.
So,
but yeah,
enough.
It's the first printing.
That's batch. Right. Yeah, I got my first printing under lock and key, and then I got a second printing, and then I have the one from the Portal to Adventure, which has got the special covers. When Matt Tapp becomes like the next Finch or whatever, I am going to be rolling in word. Yeah, absolutely.
one other thing. I know that we've talked a little bit about Stars Without Number. Drink.
Oh Jesus, yeah. What about it?
This just came out. Um, Kevin Crawford. It's like a sector book. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
right. I mean, it's typical Stars Without Number fare. What it looks like is he used the rules in the back of the book to create a sector book. It's pretty good. Check it out. It's Crawford. That's all I got, Matt.
All right. Well, why don't we turn our attention to Shadowdark, and instead of Shadowdark directly, let's talk about Shadowdark RPG and those things that are made for it, i.e., third-party creators such as Grim Games. Andrew, let's get him in here.
Hey, what's up? What's up, guys?
What?
How's it going?
Thanks so much for
Good to see
coming.
you. Thanks for having
Andrew,
me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No,
well,
you're welcome, man.
yeah, you're welcome. Like I said before we got started, I want to highlight, you know, that my channel has always been about kind of like the indie scene and the other creators out there other than the big names like Wizards of the Coast and whatnot. And I saw your Kickstarter. I saw the name Color Out of Space, and as dude who loves Lovecraft, I was like, huh.
Yeah,
I like horror, and I'm doing some stuff Shadow Dark horror. I wonder what this is all about. And I went and I saw it, and I was like, wow. So I just reached out to you, and I'm glad you responded. So
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that because boy, I am a huge Lovecraft fan, and bringing it to Shadowdark is definitely one of my main missions among the things I want to create. So thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, well, I saw one of your, I think it was your first thing that you published, Fishmonger.
Yeah,
that
right
had that was very Lovecraftian as well. So why don't we actually start there? I mean, Lovecraft like one of your main influences in terms of like gaming and reading and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you know, HP Lovecraft's cosmic horror, like you know, I got into it very, you know, late, maybe about a decade ago or so, really stumbled upon, like, I've, you know, obviously had seen its influence or heard about its influence in lots of different pop culture, but I never really became an avid reader of the short stories until, you know, about a decade ago. And I think like one of the big things that really got me hooked was the game from Red Hook Studios, Darkest Dungeon. It's like one of my favorite indie games of all time.
Yep.
I've put like, I would at least 400 hours, 500 hours into that. And, you know, it's got a very, you know, I love roguelikes and that whole genre of games. And like the narrator, Wayne June, who unfortunately passed away like last year, rest in peace. But I'm not sure if he's done a lot of books on tape of HP Lovecraft. If you look through like the YouTube library, you'll find some of his work, and he just like is the quintessential voice of Lovecraft in my head. And so like I've gone down the rabbit hole and listened and or read several of those stories. And as I've evolved as a dungeon master and then eventually, you know, wanted to start writing adventures, especially for Shadowdark, it's a big part of kind of the vibe and you know, themes that I want to go for in a lot of my work. So like the first one had to do it with my own original with the Fishmonger's Secret sort of adventure, delving deep below and finding a cult of Dagon, Mother Hydra, and you know, and deep ones. We'll go with the classics on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that, and with some of the promo stuff he sent me, and I was just like, yes. I think I dig it. I'll get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of your modules and this Kickstarter, but talk about your Kickstarter real quick.
Sure.
Color Out of Space. I just put the link in the chat, by the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's also in the description of the video afterwards if anybody checks that out. But yeah, this is my second Kickstarter. My first one I did for late last year for I did my first sword and sorcery attempt with the Last Isle of the Dread Legion, and that one was able to get funded, and I did a little print run Sent that one out around the world, and that was really surreal. You know, that there's people out there that are interested in your work, right? It's even if it's a small, tiny thing. And then so I'm like, all right, sweet, I'm going to do another one. That one happened, so might as well keep going until people don't fund it anymore, right? And so I started my next one. Wanted to Color Out of Space is one of my favorite of the Lovecraftian short stories.
Mine too.
Yeah, and so it's definitely like, you know, my take on it. Obviously, I'm not trying to like replicate it word for word or like the exact setting. So I spliced in a couple of different things. Like number one, I really like a lot of the Arctic setting that Lovecraft, like at the Mountains of Madness, for example, or that's Antarctic technically, but I wanted to have it set in there like a frontier town that discovers like a gold mine, and then you know, and it's as people are, you know, it becomes a boom town as people are flooding the small village trying to get their share of the gold. You know, the mine in the mountain is struck by the color meteorite, and then chaos ensues. You'll have to check it out to find out more. No, but I'm happy to spoil the whole thing if you'd like.
You'll
But
have to
yeah,
give me
it's a lot of
your
fun.
money.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're pro shill here.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's great. You guys put a lot of effort into this. I was looking at a little bit of your stuff today, and I like your covers.
Oh, thank you.
They
I can talk
evoke
about
a
those if you
certain
like.
mood. Yeah, I'm just curious, do you have an artist? Are you AIing it? How it doesn't look like AI to
Great.
me, but I've been fooled before, right? So
Yeah, great question. So yeah, for me personally, the things I want to create, I only use human creations for my work. That's not like you know, I'll let everybody decide their ethics on artificial intelligence. But as far as like the reason I got into doing this is like, you know, a fun side hobby is because I wanted to channel the creative spirit myself in my writing. And so, and another part of that is to have a lot of the, you know, the funds that I've raised is really to pay the artists. I pay them up front and then hopefully get reimbursed.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to help, you know, like live what I believe, which is I want artists to have an opportunity to be paid for their amazing contributions to society. And so like, I want to be a part of doing that through, you know, writing. And so what I did for each of my zines, the first one I worked with my sister and my close friend in my hometown, and they did it was a collaborative effort. I did the writing for it, and all of the work you see in The Fishmonger's Secret is from family and friends locally, and we split all that 30-30-30. And then for the Last Isle of each zine beyond that, Last Isle of Dread Legion and The Color Out of Space, I'm just building my network of artists that I can commission, I connect with on Twitter or X or whatever, and any place I can find people that I like their work. I'm like, I try my best to hit them up in the DMs. They don't always answer back, but I'm like, hey, I see you take commissions. Can I pay you to make this cool thing? And so started that process with it. You know, the green screen behind me is cutting out the green orcs, but that one there, Last Isle of the Dread Legions from Brutal Basics, which does like a lot of really cool pinup style work, and he did like a great sword and sorcery piece for me. And then a lot of people know Alexei Gorbut, who did Bob Worldbuilder's latest zine cover. He did The Color Out of Space that you see partially behind me and on the cover of that Kickstarter there. So yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for taking the time and the effort to do that. I think I don't want to get into this. The big, me and Matt have had this argument offline so many times. I'm not trying to stir it up, but I do think that all creation is collaborative, unless like somebody locks themselves away in a monastery and they're getting food shoved under the door. You know, all creation is collaborative, and you get 2 or 3 people working on the same thing. It almost creates a fourth person, and that is you know. So anyway, I appreciate I appreciate the effort you put into that, and it's noticeable. You know,
It's been a lot of fun, especially on this latest one. If you take a look at some of the ink sketch work that my new friend Tay, he goes by big let's see, Big Eggs Black Pen. It's a unique handle, but he's from Thailand, and he has the absolute awesome, most awesome love. Like he is an expert at Lovecraftian horror monster sketch work. If you check his Instagram, he's on like every social media, and like I'm like, I gotta get this guy to do like the illustrations for the story throughout it. And I've got some samples on the Kickstarter there, but I'm so happy that I was able to connect with him, and he wants to work with me more in the future, like you're kind of talking about, and maybe do the illustrations for the entirety of a zine in the future. So I'm hoping to continue to do this kind of collaboration with artists, because you know, we as a fellow Lovecraft fan, is like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. We get to share our ideas and help them come to reality at the table.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
That is really cool. So when you, just out of curiosity, role-playing game-wise, because I know that this is written for Shadowdark, because Shadowdark does seem to be the base upon which it seems to be very easy to build the things that you want to build. And so we're getting a lot of, we've got other friends that are doing the same thing. Some of them are probably in the channel right now. What was it? Did your gaming group switch to Shadowdark? When did you make the shift to Shadowdark? When did you decide to publish for Shadowdark? What's your, what were you playing before Shadowdark? Sure. I guess let's cover the whole Shadowdarking of the.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, and yeah, I could go on that one for a long time. But you know, my tabletop role playing experience is largely based on, you know, I grew up playing 3.5 and Pathfinder. I wish I remember when I was a little kid going into Borders Books and trying to get second edition off the shelves, but my parents were very much against D&D at that time. They were a little bit, I believe, you know, in their circle of friends thought it was going to summon the devil or something. Over time, they've moderated on that, and they love it now. But I unfortunately didn't get to start earlier, but I started with a lot of that, like that, in high school, and then, you know, eventually also played 5th edition. But as a, you know, to be honest, 5th edition to me, again, I don't want to get into, like, for people, play whatever edition makes you happy. But as a dungeon master, it was so boring to me. I'm just gonna be straight up. 5th edition was not hitting the notes for me personally, and you know, with a lot of the stuff that not a huge fan of Hasbro, let's just put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
And so especially with the OGL crisis that happened, I was like, you know what, screw it. This was like 2023 or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna finally branch out from these two games and finally look at what else is out there, because I was really just D&D and Pathfinder. I didn't really bother to look at anything else. And when I started to look, I am like, the first thing that popped up in my feed was Shadowdark, probably, you know, because the phones are listening to you at that point and got algorithmically fed that. But you know, it resonated with me on so many levels, back to what I was saying earlier about Darkest Dungeon, because in that game, it has like a torch mechanic. It has this, it's very roguelike. You know, you have to manage your kind of your gear slots piece there. Death is, you're always on the precipice of that. And so, like, I was a huge fan of that. And so when I started seeing this system and reading the rules, I'm like, this is hitting all the notes that I want. I want more lethality. I want it a quicker game. I want rules light. I want rulings over rules. And Kelsey hit all of those notes for me at exactly the right time. And I was hooked. And I'm like, I'm going to make stuff for this system. I'm done with the old stuff as far as I'm concerned. So that's kind of how it came to be.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's one of the for some of the older gamers. That's like one of the big kind of conversations. You know, is Shadowdark, you know, acting as like a bridge sort of from the contemporary modern game design to
Mm.
like this more old school. So it's interesting to have, you know, hear, you know, right from someone like yourself, right?
I mean,
Have
I'll
you
tell you,
ever? Have you?
speaking of that, like I'm literally trying to get, all the old stuff, right? I'm going
Oh,
back
right on.
in time, right? I've been ordering this and trying to make up for lost time,
I was
get
just
caught up.
about to. I was just about to ask you. Have you
Yeah.
played? I know. I think I heard you say you started with third edition. Have you played any of the earlier games? The stuff that's like classically OSR.
Yeah, I unfortunately have not, and nobody around me does. So that's why I'm, starting to do my homework on that. I've got like several different books, but it's something that's on the, roadmap and that I
Sure.
want to do. So, but um, I've told with my groups like, hey, this campaign I've been running I have a legacy 5e game with them. I'm like, this is the last 5e campaign I'm ever going to run for you guys. Sorry. So you want to come along for the ride as I do these other things? And then,
How'd they take
there you
that?
go.
How'd they take it when you said that? What was their reaction
Oh,
in
well,
general?
they are, supply of DMing is low, demand is high. So
Yeah.
so we're all good friends. I'm playing it up a bit, right? But
Right.
there's plenty of other 5e games in our
Well,
group that
I
they'll
remember a
play.
few
And
years ago,
Mhm.
Matt had a hell of a time. Like he
Just
was
yeah.
in 5e, he couldn't
Mhm.
convince his players to even look at anything. He was
Yep.
GMing, he hated it.
Yeah.
Like at
Yeah.
one point, I told him to get new friends. Like
Yeah,
it was,
that's what I'm saying,
it
man.
was like a whole thing, man. And then Lamentations of the Flame Princess dropped into his
Mhm.
lap, kind of like the Shadowdark thing happened to you. I think a lot of people have something different. Have you ever played any games outside outside of the fantasy genre? Any
I played some. I mean, it's not like no,
I should say,
I
have you
guess
ever
that
bounced
technically the
off
first
any
game I played
games?
was Star Wars RPG, because my parents would let me play D&D. I actually played like the Star Wars RPG. That was my first gateway drug to it. But yeah,
That
not a
is,
whole lot else.
That's you
I was
just.
gonna say, no. I have that in common because I was a kid in the
Mm,
80s and I had an aunt who she still thinks the devil's gonna come out of them books. And
yikes.
but yeah,
Yeah,
but I could slide in Star Wars. Then when
right,
Star Wars was in the door, I slid in Shadowrun,
right.
and then it just kind of built from there.
Yeah,
So
like
that's not an
for my
uncommon
parents,
story.
it was like Lord of the Rings, right? So we saw all the Lord of the Rings movies. Like it became a Christmas tradition, which was I have a very fond memory of that. And at that point, it was like, oh, okay, wait, you're just playing Lord of the Rings with dice. That not a problem, right? And so
Yeah.
they moderated
Yeah.
after that, So
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was fortunate enough. I grew up in the '80s too. I was fortunate enough to kind of miss that whole satanic panic. It's kind of like the
Mhm.
tail end. My mom asked. She's like, "What is this okay? Is this because they were also my parents were hippies, so they were
Mhm.
already questioning authority.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, we're just killing monsters and being heroes. And she's like, okay, that's cool, which was which I never had that issue. Like I've talked to some people who are like, books are getting burned and stuff. So,
Mm,
but I wanted to ask because it's somewhat related because there was a game I grew up with, and I want to tell this story to Sandy
sure.
Peterson if I ever get a chance to, where I did think there was something wrong with it because it was so spooky. Because I read Lovecraft when I was very young,
Mm.
and it was the game Call of Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so like I honestly thought that might be too like intense for me. So I never played it until like my late teens, early 20s. Um, in which case I was like, oh, there's nothing weird about this at all. It's just a horror game where you go insane. Have you ever given your enjoyment of Lovecraft? Have you ever played Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah, see, that's one of those things where it's like, you know, I pick it up off the shelf and I'm like, oh, I want to buy this and play it. And it's one of those things where it's like you only have so much bandwidth and
Understood, yeah.
active campaigns. But yeah, I definitely really want to play that sort of like inspector, you know, detect. It's very much what, like you know, you're solving mysteries and trying to you know, stop the eldritch horrors from taking over and stuff like that.
When you play that
Don't go
game,
insane and things like that.
yeah, you play normal people just like in
Yeah.
the books. Maybe your character might have had some experience with the Lovecraftian mythos in some way, shape, or form, but you never really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And the real goal of that game is to try to, if you're going to be heroic, you're trying to slow down the inevitable. Like
Right.
the great old ones are coming. Cthulhu's going to rise. It's just a matter of when. And can you
Right.
slow it down? And along the way, yeah, you lose sanity points. Your characters could end up getting retired because they get committed to, like, you know, an insane asylum or something. And characters die because you're not
Right.
you're not this superhero magic wielding guy. You're just a dude with like a snub nosed revolver and
Yeah.
you know, a book that has weird writing in it, and every time you look at it, it makes you see things that you don't want to see. You know, so it's a fun game. I would recommend.
I definitely want to do it. It's
I
just a
recommend
matter
if
of
you
like, there's
find like
always
an
been
older
another thing to
version.
play, you know? So.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a lot of neat ideas in it. So as a Lovecraft guy, I think you'd appreciate it. He's, even just as the game design.
Totally.
Sandy Peters is just brilliant.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter, and I definitely you know, that one's on the I have so many things that are on the roadmap. It's just a matter of like, when am I ever going to play all these things? but yeah, it's that one, and you know, I've played like I like the Eldritch Horror board game. That one's really fun too. So yeah, any sort of Lovecraft stuff I like to dabble in, or eventually will.
I had started a question and meant to pop it up sooner,
Cool.
and the conversation just sort of went. So, from Tim Griffin, how often do you do issues? I think he's referring to your zines.
Yeah, great question. So I just started doing this last year. I put my first one out on, or I guess issue 0 now, on Drive Through RPG. When again I was working with my family and friends back in, I guess, May of 2025, and we were just, all right, let's make something and throw it out there, and we're learning new things along the way. And then after that one, we were all like, okay, that was great. They went on and didn't really want to go further with it. They thought that, oh, that was fun, that was awesome, hey, high five. And then I was like, oh, I really like this. I got bit by the bug. I want to create more. So I worked on coming out with the Dread Legion. I wanted to explore doing a Kickstarter, see if that was possible. So that was a whole learning curve, and came out with that in I think I ran it in November and got it out in December. Yeah, ran it. I think it ran in September, and then I mailed it out November or something like that. Got it in by Christmas, and then now here's this one. So I would like to try to get 2 out a year, but you know, it's still very early, and we'll see how it goes. You know, it really depends on whether if people want it.
Yeah, well, and you're all, you know, this is not like your main job, so
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you got the time to put it out, but
I'm a high school teacher for those that don't know. So I teach AP World History, Social Studies. You know, I've been doing that for a long time. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, even if you just put it on like your website, or you know, drive through PDF or whatever it is. I mean, you know, that is one thing about that side of the hobby that I do like seeing. I like the fact that so many people are creating. I wish sometimes I wish there were more people creating with the like you seem to have the intent of, I want to do something real cool. You know, like when I was looking at the stuff that you sent us, it was just like, oh wow, he's trying. You know what I mean? Like
06, thank you, by the way.
Yeah,
was one of the first, the fastest Kickstarters I ever backed. Yeah, 06, by the way. He just Dustin over there at let me make sure I get this right. Deadly Torch Adventures is his Twitch channel that they just ran Dread Legion for the first time. First time somebody has streamed my
really
on the internet, which was surreal. So thank you 06 and your crew for that. I really appreciate that. So that was really cool. But yeah, to your point, Gary, the like you know, putting your work out there and making stuff, like, I mean, for me, one of the reasons, one of the fun aspects of doing this, again, is a fun hobby. I like to be a lifelong learner. I always want to learn new skills. So I'm like, all right, well, I tried it. I put it on Drive-Thru-RPG, still do put my stuff on Drive-Thru-RPG and other things. But, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't really, one of my goals was to put it in print. And I'm not a huge, honestly, I was like, I don't like the fact that they take a pound of flesh. I'd like to go work with my goal was like, I would like to support my local printing press down the street, have it made in America, you know, old school. And I'm like, let me see, I want to learn how to do that. I'm just going to do that. All right. I'm going to work face to face with people. And so I took my, you know, creations and worked, you know, with them and got it in print and then mailed it out to people, right? And learned how to do a Kickstarter, and that I'm going to keep doing it. It might not be the most financially, like, you know, in terms of margins, the best course of action, but at least I know the names of the people that I'm working with, and I can go say hi to them and shake their hand, and that's very satisfying for me.
Well, do you mind me asking? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, this is tapping into the do-it-yourself mentality of old school gaming. I mean, back in the day, I mean, that's what they were doing, essentially. And one of a friend of the channel here, Matt Tapp, he's the guy behind Federals and Border. He literally bought a couple printers, and and got the paper that he wanted, and he was just doing it in his shed. And he's got one of the hottest OSR games.
That's awesome.
Came out last year, just like,
oh yeah, I actually backed that. I have it on the shelf right over here.
Yeah, a little feather in my cap. I'm the one that first brought it out to the video on it and all that. So yeah, Matt's great and a hard worker, and I mean, it sounds like you got the same mentality, which is fantastic, man. That's great to hear. Oh, Gary's off. Nope, there he is. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gary. Did you just going to ask about?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I was going to bring up Matt actually, and you know, and it's the whole do-it-yourself attitude that is going to get you a long way. Because I think a lot of people I don't know anyone who knows how to do that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think it comes a little bit from, like, so my grandpa was a big, you know, influence on me, and he was a, you know, child of the Depression, World War II veteran, and growing up and hearing all of his stories, he did everything himself, right? And I you know, obviously I can't go to that level. Like, he literally built like 3 or 4 houses and all himself. You know, this guy does everything or did everything. But, you know, so where you know, I am kind of like him, embrace the challenge of like, okay, well, how do I do that? Who do I need to connect with? If I can't do it, who can I reach out to do something, and just like keep building skills, right? So like with Color Out of Space, this zine, my challenge is I wanted to learn Adobe InDesign, right? So when I did Dread Legion, I was ready for Canva. That's where I was in my growth. And it worked out really well, I thought. But I'm like, all right, well, I want to get my zine to have more of that aesthetic that's very similar for a lot of folks in the Shadowdark community, and put my own little spin on it. And I want to learn how to do that in Adobe InDesign. Now, Adobe also costs an arm and a leg, but thank Geed, right? I have a free membership because of a teacher benefit. So I'm like, well, I might as well use that, right? I get the whole Adobe suite, like Adobe Premiere. I've been using it like for my YouTube channel, Adobe Premiere Pro. That was, you know, that's a learning curve there, but that's really nice too. So you utilize that software, build that skill. It's very satisfying to go from, you know, the idea space all the way down the line to sending it out and having people like 06 play it, right? You know, that's very satisfying.
Yeah. Why don't? Oh, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
No. You're good.
I was just gonna say, if I have the PDFs up. I could like share if you want to
Yeah,
like
Sure.
please do.
talk a little bit about color out of space and some of your other stuff because correct me if I'm wrong. Um, as part of like additional add-ons and whatnot, people can not only back the color out of space, but they can order Dread Legion and Fishmongers
Yeah,
and Curse,
yeah,
right? Or
I
Seekers.
definitely. I always plan on my Kickstarters to have all of my backlog. Um, so you can always you'll always be able to pick up my prior issues. What you printing everything through the local printing press, I was able to build up a nice stock. Hopefully, it doesn't sit in my my closet forever, but I have a nice backlog of stock there. So you can always pick up any of those zines, and if you miss this color out of space, it'll be I'll have some stock on hand that you can pick up through um, my personal shop if you want to as well. So we're looking at one of the previews here.
Yeah. Before I start asking you questions about it, I should have asked you this. So this is my bad. You have a website shop store?
Yeah, if people just, I mean, if you follow any of my social media, you'll find my link tree. It has links to everything, including I put everything up on Ko-fi. I'll eventually put stuff on Drive-Thru or RPG. I try to prioritize the Kickstarters because they don't take as much as the other places. So there's less of a middleman there. They still are a middleman, but they do a nice job of getting your stuff out to people to see it, right? That's kind of like one of the biggest challenge for anybody in a niche within a niche like this is getting people to see your work, right?
Oh yeah, no, I believe you me. I know I've written for the Red Room. They're a Portuguese company that Drive-Thru. They don't have a good relationship with Drive-Thru, so if you want to see any of my stuff, you got to go to Lulu. But no one thinks of Lulu when they think of RPG. So
Right.
I hear you. I only brought it up because had I known, I would put the link in the chat.
Oh no, that's okay. Like the Kickstarter is the most important one. So
yeah,
thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Matt, just show the pretty pictures. I can barely read.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. All right. So this is the cover. This cover is amazing. And I just want to make this real point where I know you're trying to make it somewhat consistent, right? With like the Shadowdark aesthetic. Can I have a confession to make? And
Please.
In my Shadowdark zine, I very much not doing what I'm about to say here, but I love the fact that you're giving color. Shadowdark, I get the black and white, I totally do, and I think it's cool.
Yes.
But by God, can we have some color? So
I hear you. Like that was one of my things. I'm like, I want to make color zines. Now they are they are way more expensive to make.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, I was like, especially for the Dread Legion, I want to and this one, I want to have that old school like 1980s comic book look, right? With those high contrast colors. And I want, I think that's a niche there that that's what I want to see on my shelf. So that's why I made it. But I know there are some folks in the community that they don't want their shelves to be tainted with color, so they want to have pure black and white. So I basically just offer both, with each Kickstarter. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the details here.
Please.
So you've been working on some additional rules for Shadowdark fighting techniques, and I'm just going to scroll down the thieving trickery. Briefly describe what that is, if you could, and what was the thought process behind them?
Yeah, sure. So, and I think just for everybody looking, I think this build is probably one of the older ones because I've been working really, really hard on this. And the build that I have right on my end right now, I can see a lot of the edits I make. So just keep that in mind, everybody. But so the idea behind the fighting techniques is large, and the thieving trickery is so when one of the things that I like to do as a teacher, I really enjoy like onboarding my students to this hobby with like club activities and after school. And so I often, especially when AP exams are over in May, like I have a solid month before school gets out in June. And so I do a lot of advanced placement Dungeons and Dragons, aka I just teach them Shadowdark. And so like they don't have a lot of the context, but one of the things when it comes to the new players, and we're rolling up characters and they get their first few levels, the casters, they get to make like a choice every level, right? They get a new ability every level. They get a new spell, and it's not. I understand why the fighter and thief are the way they are, but from a like a super new player perspective, you know, some of the people at the table are getting a new thing, and the other players are, you know, they're getting a tick up in their weapon mastery, they're getting a tick up in their backstab, which is great. But I wanted to add something for those even levels for the fighter and for the thief, and you can decide how you want to utilize them. My default position is to just have them roll on this like ability table, so it's like, again, roguelike randomization. And they tip the fighter ones work like you kind of like a spell, in the sense that when you declare an attack, you like, hey, am I using this fighting technique? Yes. If I hit, cool, it goes off with the damage. If it misses, you can't use it again in that technique until you take a rest. So it kind of goes in conjunction with your melee attack. For the thief, the trickery are all different, and some of them are passive, some of them are outlined on what they do. But again, they're acquired on the even levels. So essentially, it gives all the core classes at my tables something exciting that's happening on the even levels. That's kind of like why they came to be. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense actually. And I'm just going to stop sharing for a bit because we got a bunch of questions and I want to
Sure.
get to them.
Flint's here, Flint's here, Flint's here.
I saw that. Good to see you, Flint. From Death Angel Shadow, is he planning on hitting up any cons? So, are you planning on hitting up any cons?
Yeah, great question. That's definitely something that I want to do. I wanted to go to GaryCon this year, for example, but it just wasn't in the. I was either do that or get this zine done. So my goal was to get this zine done this time. But I definitely want to go to, like, I've never been a big convention goer, you know, but like, because of Shadowdark and like learning more about the old school space in general, and watching some YouTube videos, watching some of the recorded sessions with the creators in the space, it's gotten me really feeling FOMO to participate, go and, you know, just hang out and play with people. So once I think,
country are you in?
I'm in California.
You're in California.
So, yeah.
What is the gaming scene like? Because everybody I know is East Coast or Texas. What is it like in California? What's that gaming scene like?
Great question. I mean, so there's plenty of people that play. It's a great question. I mean, I've you know, I go to my local game, or I had gone to my local game stores a lot, all growing up, and through up to about COVID is when I you know, I was a regular at my friendly local game store, and I still occasionally go to the local game store to pick up supplies and whatnot. But I've built such a tight-knit network of friends that I play with. Like one of my, you know, one of the blessings that I've received is I make friends pretty easily, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm able to build a lot of tables like of curated people. So like I don't often go play pickup games these days at the local game store, but what I want to do, because when Kelsey announced Shadow League, that got me really intrigued, because I used to run, like at the local game store, I used to run not Warhammer 40K, but I don't know if you've heard of War Machine. It was like a steampunk. I was used to be big into War Machine, and I was a press ganger. They were the tournament organizers. I did that a little bit, and I really enjoy building stuff, building community. So I really want to do, like, however Shadow League ends up rolling out. It's still a little vague to me what the whole design scheme on that is, but I really want to be a Shadow League organizer, whether it be in my local game stores nearby, which there's lots of them, or depending on how decentralized it is, I might even consider running it at my school itself and try to bring in more of the youth into the hobby, because they when they sit down and play, they eat it up, man. They love it, but their attention span is pretty cooked. So that's why Shadowdark is good for quick around the table for them. I tell you what.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah. I was running a Dungeons and Dads game last year. Just, it wasn't like a regular thing when we could get together, but my buddies and their kids would show up, and we played Shadowdark, and I was using a classic module, Keep on the Borderlands. And buddy of mine, his son brought 2 of his friends, and they were in a D&D club at school, and they played 5th edition. Okay. So they're like, what is this Shadowdark? And I'm like, okay, you're not going to find the answer to anything on your character sheet. Don't ask me what to roll. I'll tell you what to roll, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of explain, just put yourself in their shoes. Yeah. And I've told this story a bunch of times, but I just love it. The one girl, she was like, every question, she's like, I want to sneak underneath the bushes and try to steal the dead robber's gold pouch. Can I do that legally? Like, yes, you can do that. Just make your dex check, but you sneaked, you did this thing. Oh, great. I want to use my rope to climb up the tree. Can I do that legally? I'm like, yeah, you're doing it. You're like getting immersed. You're there, It was kind of really a stark contrast what I saw, but you're right. Like, moving around the table kept them like really engaged. Like, if we were breaking out minis and getting into the minutia, I have a feeling that that game would not have gone well.
But I mean, actually, like being able go ahead, Gary.
So, actually, I was gonna say minis are one of the only ways I can get my kids to the table. They're not ready to use their brains. They need some kind of stimulus. So
what I do is I keep, I'm a very I'm kind of the traveling DM. A lot of my friends have kids. I play it with my fellow teachers. We have a after school game that I run, and so I have all my stuff sort of in travel bags, right? Pretty common. And I have a little thing of minis. Got a rollout map. But I do kind of like hybrid theater of mind, and use the table and sketch things out very quickly. I think it tends to be how I run it. But like for the quick onboarding piece, the pre-generated character cards have been great. But even then, rolling up characters is very quick in this system. And so getting the students right into Matt, like you were saying, Matt, like just asking questions and getting thinking outside the sheet, thinking creatively, so much. And in terms of the game that I like to play, that's so much more satisfying than I'm going to look at my character sheet and it's going to tell me what I can and can't do. You're still obviously things that you're good at, but hey, be creative and let's see what happens, right? Roll the dice.
Well, that is something that I think is lost. I was just lamenting this on X earlier today or yesterday. That sort of like give and take and engagement with the world through the game master, through that like question answer negotiation process, I sort of feel like is a lost art. And modern game design, I think, is more video gamey, where it's just like I press a button, my character does the thing. What's interesting about Shadowdark, it kind of blends the two, right? Like there's still this sort of button that you press, but it's not like a thing unless it's necessary. So it's still very OSR, old school. Yeah. So, and I get excited when I see people get into it. That's one of the Shadowdark, truth be told, is not my favorite system. I like it a lot, but it's not like my preferred. But it's one that I would pull out in a heartbeat just to get some modern gamers like into like a more OSR headspace, right? I mean? So
Shadowdark
Absolutely.
is one of the few. I think it is one of the few games out right now though where you can get a group of like you were talking about, Matt. You can get a group of new players and who haven't played a game or have very little gaming experience, and you can ask them that age-old question that I haven't heard since the 80s or 90s. What do you do?
Yeah.
Right? Like as a game master, it's all, what do you do? And I don't want to see you look at your fucking character sheet and your feats and get your miniature in the right square so they're the right distance away from the fucking bad guy to unleash your, you know what I mean? I don't, that, what does your character do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do think, one of my, and I've been real critical of Shadowdark. I've been the one guy, I feel like I've been consistently, Shadowdark's, it's okay. It's whatever, I think it's okay. But what I do think it is probably best at is if you are the kind of DM or GM, excuse me, that wants to build and do your own thing, Shadowdark is a great base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great base to start with, and then you can you look at what Erudite's doing, right? Where he's got his war horses, and I think he's doing something about pole arms or some shit. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, this is where he wants to go with his game. So, and I think, talking about Andrew here, your adventures, I think you have the freedom to do whatever kind of adventure you want to do because Shadowdark is so loose.
And
You're right.
And that is an excellent segue into something I did want to talk to you a little bit about too. But we got to put a pin on that because there's some more questions, and I want to get to everything. So Death Angel Shadow also asks, what about us print only or print in PDF people? I guess he's asking about drive-through RPG.
So print only. Well, so as far as like options go, like on whether it be on my Kickstarter or through my own personal like Ko-fi shop, you can get the PDFs, you can get print only. I have those options, like especially on the Kickstarter. You can do print only. You can get a zine mailed to your house. You can just get the PDFs. That's up to you. As far as like drive-through itself, though, I'm not currently using them to fulfill physical work because I like doing it personally myself too much. So there you go.
Another question.
I missed the other question there. So what was the other one?
Oh no, that was just Erudite giving us some shit. Like literally. It's horse shit is what he gave us. Erudite's got some good stuff. But we'll be getting into some
no worries.
Planning on with Shadowdark. He's totally derailed my thought process. Okay.
Sorry.
We got another. It's all good. It's the second watch. This is what we come to expect.
Yeah.
Another question: have we covered why Shadowdark over other potential systems? I think we may have kind of covered it, but not directly.
Sure. I mean, really, at the end of the day, right? I mean, I'm not the guru of all things tabletop role playing. I don't have the pedigree that most people do, right? I mean, I've only really played 3.5, Pathfinder First Edition, 5th Edition, some tangential. I did play like some different Star Wars RPGs, and then again in the last couple of years, that's when I started my started my break to actually examine other things, and Shadowdark hit all of the notes that I was looking for at that moment. For why, like, the system that I want to run. And maybe, again, it could simply just be that there's plenty of things out there that I'm ignorant to, and I'm sure that I will eventually find other things that I really want to write for too, right?
Don't sell yourself short on that.
I think I got a little disconnected there.
No, you're still here.
There we go.
I was just gonna say, don't sell yourself short on that. We had Greg Gillespie on for a actual play, and before the game we were just kind of chatting, and I just happened to ask because Greg Gillespie's written OSE, all these great mega dungeons, and I just sort of asked him that same question, like, have you ever thought about doing anything else, like other systems? And he's just like, I like OSC. I'm comfortable with OSC, and this
Yeah.
is what I want to write for. You know, and
Yeah.
I think there is something to having like a depth versus a breadth, right, of
Right.
knowledge. And that the age old debate about rules is written versus like homebrew and stuff. You know, my argument is, you know, if it's your first time with a system, by all means, rules is written so you can learn it.
Right.
But someone said to me, but what if, you know, the creator of Shadowdark, Kelsey, meant something by this rule, and if you don't play it, you don't understand it? And I'm like, I completely agree. But what if you've used that rule 100 times, right? You've played 100 different campaigns. You're going to have like a deeper understanding. So like that may allow you to sort of create on top of it. And that's where I think where game mastery starts to flourish, right? And that's where the rules, rulings over rules and the house rules really start to like become an act of creation for your own table. So
yeah.
And so I think there's something to say to that. Like if Shadowdark's your jam, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? You know, like if you want to start creating, you got to find the thing that you enjoy doing. And like when I'm playing this system and when I'm DMing this system, I am having the most fun that I've had versus those other systems, right? Like I love the speed of the game versus crunchy, you know, 3.5 and Pathfinder First Edition. I love the inventory like the gear slot system, like. I've, you know, with my experience on those other systems, I've never been satisfied with how gear has been handled. This was very elegant for me. You know, again, I'm not as well versed in what else could be out there, but that clicked. And then of course the torch timer mechanic was really, really cool to me because again, in Darkest Dungeon, you're going through, you have to keep that torch lit. Otherwise the monsters get extremely harder. And I'm like, this is perfect. I love this because I love that always on. And some people think it's a gimmick. I'm like, this is a great way to keep the table moving. You know, I've dungeon mastered too much 5th edition where like the going around the table takes an hour, and we had a 3-hour session and it's three rounds of combat, and it's like, all right, see you next week. I'm like, oh, this is it's so boring to me.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it's kind of weird. Something D&D, current D&D 5th edition, 5.5, whatever the fuck it is now, is so bad that like it couldn't just kill, you know, itself. It birthed, like it is so bad. It's literally given birth to a cottage industry of third-party creators. You know, it's that horrible that there are a lot of people making decent money doing zines and modules for other shit.
Right.
I marvel at how they screwed this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
like when you really think about it, you imagine that you walk into, you're the manager of the Four Seasons restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Like your shit's already set, you know, and 6 months in, like everything sucks. The fucking lasagna's no good. You know what I mean? It's just like, how do you fuck this up?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean, for me, it's I you know, I think like my thesis on it is essentially like I say in video games, like once they get a little bit too corporate, I feel like, you know, it's not hard to see how, you know, the life gets drained out of it. Like I mean, that's my take on it. Like, you know, in video games, like in the mid 2010s, you saw it's not DLC anymore. It's like microtransactions. It's like back in the 90s, we would, like StarCraft would come out with Brood War, or Diablo 2 came out with Lords of Destruction. That was like, you wanted to pay for that expansion. That was decent. That was great content, right? And then over time, like in 2010s into now, like they carve out stuff that was meant to be in the full game. They lace it with microtransactions, break the immersion. That's like, again, you get to a certain point where it's too corporate and it feels like it's being run by an HR department, and then it's like it loses a lot of the soul, in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, like with a lot of this indie scene, you're getting closer to the essence of the game, and that's what I like to play. So.
Yeah, well, there's who was it? I think it was Professor DM said that this hobby is an analog hobby, right? It's pen and paper at its
Yeah.
heart, and the real game. And this is something I've been meditating on for about a year now. That the real game isn't the book that you bought;
Right.
it's what's happening at the table, and the game
Mhm.
master sort of like creating a brand spanking new game every time he sits down to
Right.
write a new campaign. Whether it's a rules as written thing, going to add some house rules, new players, old players, 5 players, 12 players, always on, 1-to-1 time, whatever. Like they're designing something brand spanking new every time. And that, like you said, is like really the heart of the hobby. And I
Yeah.
think the indie scene understands that because it's closer to the tables,
Yeah.
the game table, I should say, whereas some of these other ones, they're closer to the boardrooms table.
Right. Like, I mean, Hasbro wants you to get their app, and they want you to sell you microtransactions playing D&D online through the app, like that just,
Hey,
yeah, that's,
tangential, but sort of gaming
Yeah.
corporateocracy. Did any of you have? I'm sure it was like a 5-hour conversation. I'm probably the only person who played the whole thing through. But Jeff Kaplan, the old Blizzard guy, was just on Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
And
I didn't see that.
Oh my God, they clipped out, and I think this is because it's a corporate mentality, right? There was a situation where they took Kaplan into a room and said, "Hey, if this game doesn't make this much money in its first month, and then proceed to make this much every month afterwards, we're going to lay off 1,000 people. So that's on you, man."
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that
and
too.
That's why he left. And that is a very corporate mentality, because a corporation's only job is to make money for its stockholders.
Yeah.
So
Right. Like
you get those bean pushers. Once the bean pushers are in charge, I truly believe you look at places that, In-N-Out is still owned by a family.
Right.
Right. It's fucking rad. You know what I mean? In-N-Out is rad. It's owned by a family. And I really think that gaming and all of those things that we want to keep pure, I'm not against corporations. Without corporations, there's really big shit we can't do. Right.
Right.
But with these,
it's like a balance,
games,
right?
man.
If you go too far in that corporate
games.
angle,
yeah, your elf game probably shouldn't be. Your rules shouldn't be dictated by a board of directors looking to increase profit every quarter. So
like you saw that, like I think one of a couple of different things, right? Like, what if you take a look at what Disney has done, like I don't know what you guys think on this, but what Disney's done to Star Wars, in my opinion,
terrible,
or what what they've done to Star Trek. It's like they've massacred my boy. That kind of thing. Also one of my favorite franchises from Konami was Metal Gear Solid, right? And they didn't let Kojima, finish his game, Phantom Pain. And they're like, you got to get it out. And then they screwed him. This is way back in 2015. I still haven't gotten over it. I haven't forgive them. I've never bought one of their games since, right? It's just like all of the, you see, I guess the term is enshittification. It's like once you get to a certain point, it's like you're making it crappier to try to milk as much nostalgia out of the people. And it's like, that's why I've turned to like the indie space, because I want to support creators directly. And that's where I'm finding the most fun and innovation and cool gameplay. Now that I was kind of stuck in Plato's cave. I didn't really know what else was out there.
Yeah.
And now that I've been released from the cave, like Shadowdark was kind of the first thing I latched onto. But as I was showing you, I bought a bunch of Chubby Funster's work, right? I got his Shadow Rim.
Nice.
I haven't even said his name tonight, and so right here he's ever present. He's DMing us an axe right now.
I've got his I still want, this is on the list to do. I got to play Ambition and Avarice too.
Oh wow.
I've got this is a thick one from
nice.
I want to give that. I've done some data mining in it for a little bit. I'm excited to give that.
Andrew, have you met Chubby? Well, do you know
not
Chubby?
In person.
Do you communicate with him?
We're Twitter friends.
Hey man, what do you have on Thursday nights?
Thursday, well,
we'll talk.
Generally I'm free, but let's definitely talk. I'd love to play.
Yeah,
we'll talk. I don't mind inviting you to one of his games.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, Chubby is he actually was here earlier and then decided it's a long running gag. He complains that we're on too late. And so he went to bed. He's going to watch this later. So Chubby, Gary's inviting people. Gary's inviting people.
Gonna watch this later.
Hey,
that's what he said. That's what he said.
I'm like, I'm gonna switch to plugging all of his work. You should buy this one from Chubby too. I've got his player companion.
We always have a Chubby segment on the show.
Yeah,
either he's here busting balls, or or we're talking about something he did.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though, a lot of the folks that are new in the hobby or in the industry, they kind of put their hands up like, hey, I don't have the pedigree. I haven't played all these games. I'm going to tell you the truth. Very few people have, RPGs, even as a player, not even including as a GM, they require such a time investment. Yeah. When I see these videos and these guys have bookshelves behind them of all of those games, what I assume is that they're reading those for inspiration for their game, whatever it is that they're playing. The idea that they've run a campaign in every fucking one of those books or boxes that you see is ludicrous, especially if you've taken time in your life to make a baby or three.
Right.
Like, it's just
not
happening.
I wish I had the time to play all of those games. I wish I could live a little bit longer to do all of them. Right.
I was trying to convince my wife the other day. I was like, we need to open a bar. And she's like, you're looking for a place to play games. Well,
not at all. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
So, well, do you, how easy is it when you were doing your stuff and with Shadowdark? Did you have to create? Did you have to? There's obviously things you created, like your fighting techniques and the thieves, the trickery, and all that. Did you ever find yourself in a spot where you had to create maybe a new rule or a new little thing because of the situation you were in?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I like tinkering with different ideas and making stuff. So like, a few different things would be like I love the carousing mechanic. I thought that was so cool, right? And like I should have mentioned this earlier. One of my favorite things about it, like the treasure XP thing, that was I never grew up playing gold gold for XP. And so like, but like the treasure for XP piece really clicks. And then, you go to carouse at the end, throw a giant party and then get more XP. That's awesome. Right. And then it creates all kinds of fun role-playing elements for your table. So there, like one of my first things I did in my first zine is like, okay, well, I see Kelsey put out this bard class, right? In one of her stretch goals that's now in one of the new curse scrolls. And it had some like expanded rolling for like, it would give you some bonuses on the carousing table. I'm like, okay, well, now with those bonuses, like I want to create I want that carousing table to go a little bit farther than what would naturally be available to, like, if you didn't have the bar. So like if you roll max rolls and you have max bonuses and then you get really lucky and you had a bard with you, like what would be those layers afterwards that you could tap into? So I did some expanded carousing tables. And then like I'll just share one more, would be with my first zine. Like I wanted to have a little bit of a more time pressure for the goal of dealing with like the cult deep below and the fishmonger's secret. And every time the players rest, right? I'm sure other people have done this in different games, but the GM accumulates doom counters that they use during the final boss battle. Basically, like the end boss, like it gets more power from the ritual, and so like there's another layer to the time pressure there. You can't just rest constantly with so I do like to like do little tinkering around the edges that makes sense for the adventure. You see a little bit of that in each one. I'm happy to talk about some more if you'd like, but I saw that question there. But
yeah, well, those questions can wait, because this
Okay.
was the thing. You just touched upon the thing I wanted to segue, and then we
Yeah.
moved on, but now we're back.
Sure.
What really got me excited to have you on the show is that you seem to not be afraid to experiment,
Oh
which
yeah.
goes right
Love
into the
experimenting.
heart of, like, you know, like I like to say that I'm an OSR guy, because I really I had the same sort of like coming coming out of the Plato's Cave moment
Sure.
too, when I picked up Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and I
Mm.
was like, this is BX, but it's not.
Yo, is
What?
that?
What's up?
Sorry, did I cut out or did you cut out, Matt?
I
We're having
you
technical issues.
you
Sorry.
It's
you
all good.
blinked,
You're
but
here.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, I
I
think
had
we're
one of
good.
those earlier, but yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, I looked at Lamentations of the Flame Prince. I was like, this is BX, but it's not. And then I
Mhm.
did a little looking into the company, and I'm like, whoa, these guys are like, whoa. And I just fell in love with the company, and I'm a
Yeah.
collector. And then that got me looking into all other types of guys in the indie scene, like RPG Pundit, Ventures and
Mhm.
Tanis, and others, you know. And then of course Kelsey comes along, right? So but the trademark of all, or the common denominator, is that everyone's experimenting,
Yeah, totally.
and just having some fun. And these are more well, not all, but the good ones are these are more than just house rules. There's something that to these experiments that are like enhancing the gaming experience. And there's
Yeah.
something you're doing with Color Out of Space. It's a 0th level gauntlet, right?
Oh yeah, gauntlets. Yes, I love. Oh, gauntlets are so much fun, man.
Can you just kind of talk a little bit about what Color Out of Space's gauntlet's like, and how it
Sure.
differs from, I guess, the classic Shadowdark gauntlet?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna just pull up I have a little list of bullet points here. But yeah, the Shadowdark gauntlets, like for those that don't know, right? I'm sure everybody here probably does, but like it was such a new thing to me, right? I've never played level 0 characters before, like and you know, and so like in the whole idea of you have these like I like to think of it as like villagers and peasants, and they got to go deal with the big bad that just came to the village, and it's full of like extreme, grotesque, ridiculous violence. And you're constantly you know, hilariously losing more and more of the characters, and eventually whoever survives is who goes on to be your player character in the campaign. I love that aspect because again, it feels more roguelike. It feels more randomized, which is one of the things I like about this. It's like instead of you see what the dice gods decide for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're going to play. And so as far as and you'll see this if you just go to page 30, you'll see the gauntlet pieces here.
There we
So
go.
essentially I have for this one, right, one of the things that, you know, it's cool that like typical gauntlets, you know, once the player runs out of generally the 4 that they generate, all right, you got a total loss, you generate more. But I wanted to up the ante on the difficulty. I you know, at my table, if the players, if they die, they die, right? If you get a game over, it's a game over. And so I decided, you know, this one is you know, the players trek from the village all the way to the mountain mine through the Arctic and all of these challenges. And so I had each player, default being 4 players, generate 6 0-level characters, and you know, gather some gear from town, and you know, they set off, making, you know, they form sled teams, and they head off. But one, if they lose all of the reserve characters, it's a game over. Number 2, I wanted to have some more randomization. So you pull from your reserve randomly, but once you run out, you start pulling from the rest of the table randomly. And so that's kind of cool. And then the next piece, I wanted there to be 2 opportunities for ascension to level 1. So there's like a midway point where they get ambushed by the murderous mercs in zone A, and if the party defeats them, they ascend to level 1, and but yet can still, if those characters die, still draw upon level 0 reserve that they have. And then of course, if they complete the adventure, they ascend there as well. So I wanted to experiment with that, see how it goes. And the playtests I've run so far have been a lot of fun. And they've really enjoyed the lethality of it. So, or at least they tell me that.
Yeah. I find it's very rare that there's a serious complaint about character death. I think most players, once they get it, and it's like, yeah, this is actually where the fun lies. Like, my character can die. But yeah, no, I really appreciate the kind of like, you've got this 0 level gauntlet thing that almost has got like this adventure path sort of structure to it. I love the fact that you can ascend halfway through. That's sort of like well, like, one of the things I like to do when like building horror is like, I like to give false hope.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you made it to level 1, guy. Good.
Yeah. And that
you
that
keep
combat
going.
they're fighting these deadly mercenaries, and they're like, oh, sweet. Now they have good gear, right? So they take that gear off their bodies, and yeah, like you say, oh, they're filled with, all right, I think we got this. And then, you get hit with the next layer of horror. So yeah, it's definitely a good one.
Yeah, very cool. And you've done something similar too with Fishmonger's Secret. When I first took a look at this, actually, I want to share a different screen here. When I first took a look at this, I was like, well, this is a very odd. My initial take was, this is kind of an odd adventure. If I can try to get where is it? I'm trying to find, there it is, the flow chart. And as I'm kind of taking a look at
is a flow chart is a flow chart a red flag? Probably.
No, well,
it's my first adventure, so I made the flow chart like a couple months ago and updated it. I'm like, I've been getting too many questions about like where you're supposed to go. I think a flow chart might be necessary.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you put it in here, because so partly because it helps explain, but it actually provides a visual, like the visual of like this big dungeon complex that this campaign or this adventure takes place in. Because like my first initial reading was, I'm like, well, this is kind of linear, blah blah blah, but then I'm like, well, wait a minute, there's these doors and then there's these paths. So this is actually a lot more complex than it is actually on its first when you first read it. So and I really like the presentation now that like I get it. So that's another one of those things where like I find it, the experimentation is kind of cool. Like, you're doing something very different, as opposed to like like I don't want to name names, but there's something I picked up at North Texas Con, which you should check out if you can.
Feel free to hit me up with that.
It's
link it to me later.
Yeah, it's a great con. It's a smaller con, very OSR oriented. But I picked something up there and I was like, oh, it's a cool Shadowdark dungeon, and it's got a separate thing, and it's kind of, these two books are kind of connected, and I'm like, it's fine, it's but it is it looked like, something that they generated using the tables in the back of the Shadowdark book. Where, like I said, you're like experimenting, and I think that's something that's commendable. Sometimes experiments hit, sometimes they don't, but I like what you did with that, with Color Out of Space. Like, I really like.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like, look, I backed it. I'm looking forward to the final product. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, like each of these zines, like you can really hopefully see some growth over time, and and I think each I hesitate to go back and like radically edit them at this point, because I think they're I like to keep them as a snapshot in time of my personal growth as an adventure writer. Like Fishmonger's Secret was my first one ever, and it has, I think, like we were kind of talking about earlier, I think in the modern age, it's kind of nice to see that human element. It doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Well, even like the Dune markers that in Dread Legion, I mean, that's just a neat idea that like adds to the experience that you're trying to create with the module, and that's the thing I look for. So like, say what some people don't like RPG Pundit. right? But I like his work because he's a historian. He tries to do this historical, what do you call it, authentic
Right.
take on OSR game. And so like you're not going to have fireball spells, you're not going to have all this stuff, but he goes into a lot of detail about how they actually thought about magic in medieval times, the 14th century, the 12th century, whatever, and writes rules for it. And that's to me very immersive, right?
Yeah.
Very
Really
cool. And so this is the kind of thing that I look for, and I encourage you to keep doing it, man, because
Thank you.
Colorado's, dude. You sent us the work in progress, and I apologize. I used an earlier version when we first
That's
put it up.
I sent you like 15 of them. I do apologize for that.
No,
I was
that's
basically
fine.
sending you like each new. I didn't expect you to read them all, but I'm like, you know what? I've been on on an editing like rampage the last 2 weeks, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna send them each new update and whatever. But yeah, no, it's thank you for taking a liking to it. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I think everybody. Again, I'll put the link back in the chat in just a second here. I just want to say
Have a good night, Mike.
Erudite. Take
Yep.
care, man.
Erudite, good to see you.
Thanks for stopping by as always. But yeah, I backed it. I think everyone else should. I think you got something really good going here, and putting the link back in the chat here. Well, actually, is that going to YouTube? I think it is. Okay, great. I have no idea. It's all magic to me. I'm just a caveman lawyer.
I also really enjoy like this is the first one that I designed some classes for, which is not something that I did before. Like the two other zines were largely adventures, which is kind of my main passion. Right. But I wanted to start doing some more player facing content, and I think there is a lot of class content out there, and it's a lot of hit and miss perhaps. And I already know that some folks, they're going to like it or they're going to dislike it. I actually got a lot of good feedback and thanks to all the people that have given me feedback in the Arcane Library Discord. Through that feedback, I was like, you know what? I have I appreciate the one pagers, right? And I want to have my really over engineered version that I really enjoy.
Oh, is that why you have Alchemist Light and then the Alchemist?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
and same thing with
okay.
Barbarian.
I was trying to understand that, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have a write up of that in my introduction section that I'll do right at the end. It's not important to have that on the work in progress section, but yeah, the design choice there was I as a dungeon master and helping new players onboard the experience, the really succinct class design is really that you can just pick up and play instantly. It's a one pager, everything there. That's really elegant. I understand that and wanted to have that. At the same token, I wanted to go down a rabbit hole about Western alchemy in history.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to look up a bunch of Latin words and also make some up, I guess. And so I, look, at the end of the day, I'm just creating stuff that I want to use at my table. And, if people like it, they like it. And if just pick and choose what you like, that's kind of how it goes for anything, right? Is
the best way to go about it. Make the stuff that you would use. You don't want to go to a concert where people are playing music that they wouldn't listen to.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense. So I think that's great. We brought up Matt Tapp earlier, and his whole Barrows and Borderlands just comes out of his home game.
Yeah.
Or his high school game, or he's, man, I'm watching the YouTube feed and we keep blanking in and out, Matt.
Really?
The second watch screen comes up and we go away and then it comes back. Anyway, I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's just the transition from the book to us.
It might be.
Maybe
I mean, the comments keep coming in, so I guess there's people are still here. So
there
that's
you
good.
go. Yeah, they're still here. So yeah, do you think I'm beginning to believe that Shadowdark's life, its lifespan, is going to be determined by obviously by the product that Kelsey writes and everything else, but it seems right now that third-party creators have added like a fourth dimension to her success with the game. And I just wonder, like, thank you. Yeah, I just, it's just one of those things to see, how much it's taken off and so fast. Are there
Yeah.
any other Shadowdark third-party things that you've seen that you've liked? I mean, I know we talked
Oh
about
yeah.
Chubby, minus
Totally.
Chubby. Okay.
Yeah.
Minus
Excluding
Chubby.
Chubby. Yeah.
Yes, he's not allowed to be mentioned anymore, right? No, but I think one of the one of the most inspiring pieces to me, to be like to think, oh yeah, I should go out and do this as well. Circe Victory, are you familiar with his work?
I am.
Yeah, Shrine of the. I have a copy of like the hardback Shrine of the Dragwire Princess. Such an amazing adventure. Such a like inspiration on like unique and like plot twisty, unexpected dungeons. Like for me, I wasn't accustomed to the twists and turns of like dungeon design that I see in that, right? And so, I look at his work and I'm like, oh man, I really wish I could be like half that someday.
Yeah.
And so that's one that I was, I'm gonna I've been running I've run Shrine of the Dragwire Princess a couple times now, and I want to go through the rest of his catalog at my table as well. I've also backed early on the Unnatural Selection. I also got let me see what it was. Luke Gygax's work. I still have it in the I haven't even opened it yet, but it's in the log to play as well. And then Bob Worldbuilder. I got his Delve book that just came in a little bit, but that's just a few. But I try to I got a Lost Heretic Press did a little backer kit one a gauntlet that inspired me to do a gauntlet myself. So I'm trying to also pay it forward and back different projects that interest me in the indie space. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep my eyes out for, other cool work that I want to add to my collection, because I'm definitely all in on indie work at this point.
Yeah, me too. I'm with
Yeah.
you. Like every time I pick up something new that from an indie creator, even if it's not like directly in the lineage of D&D, like something from
Sure.
Free League, I learned something new about game design.
Yeah.
Or just like how to present something, because I'm kind of like where you're at. We talked a little bit about this before we got on the start of the show. I'm kind of like learning how to do this myself.
Right.
So, and it's not like you can go to you could like read articles and go to YouTube and whatnot to learn about game design, but actually like reading it and seeing stuff implemented and then playing it to seeing how it works, is a whole, it's like hands-on,
it's very Aristotelian, right? Like you can only learn so much in books. You have to, like, if you want to gain a virtue, you actually have to go out and live and learn, right? And do.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%, yes. Circe Victory, man. Like, one of the things I've always kind of like struggled with when I was like just prepping for games and like things at home, just drawing up my own dungeons, that he is really good at is those death trap dungeons, man. Like, he is just so good at it. So I agree with you. He's on my list too of someone. I think I have that same adventure. I backed it and I got like the special hardback, whatever. Very cool adventure. So what we're hoping to do in maybe next month, maybe in 2 months, because Western Reaches is going to be coming out soon, and it's designed. I'm sorry, Western Reaches. It's designed for a West Marches style game where you have the always on timekeeping, multiple parties going out and adventuring, and I'm sure she's going to have stuff in there But if it's a true open world sandbox, there's going to be places where you can put your own ideas or somebody else's work. So we wanted to have a show in the next month. I'll plug it now. It was Gary's idea. It's called digging for gold, like looking through all the third party stuff and like who we can highlight, you know.
Totally.
So maybe we can have you on the show for that.
I would love to. Yeah,
you could show your stuff and show some of your favorite stuff from other people.
Absolutely.
You know,
I'll bring more liquor next time. I'll have to go down.
I will be able to drink next time. So
excellent. Very cool.
So okay, we got one more question that
sure.
I totally ignored. It's from he's already left. Oops. But hey, maybe he'll see this later. Is there a Lovecraft bestiary in Color Out of Space new monsters?
Yeah. So definitely like in each and this kind of comes back to that earlier question about like creation and building new things, right? So in these zines, right, it's a combination of, you cite monsters that are already in the core monster manual, and then you come up with new ones for that particular dungeon, right? So you're going to see that, for example, in the Fishmonger's Secret, like there's the Thing from the Stars as one of the enemies that I, were inspired by some other games and then made it my own. And then, but in this one, the Color Out of Space, I wanted to create. You got to have the color itself, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And and then a lot of my take on the color is again a little bit different from the short story. In this, it's still like the meteorite. It still is like even though in like all of the media you see it's usually pink or green that's depicted, but it's supposed to be an unknown, undescribable color, right? So I used the meteorite piece, but I also added like an element of that every planet it goes to, it's not only is it consuming like plant and animal life and like absorbing that essence and that energy, but it's also devouring and capturing the souls of those creatures, and so it gathers more and more of those things. It's like a parasite of the cosmos. And so I wanted to create my own design on that. And there's a monster section for any of those unique monsters that I had that I made for this. All the color has like thrall. You have to have some grunts, right? So I made color thralls, right, that are sort of possessed and dominated by this entity, and then just some other tangential pieces. But that was a lot of fun, and this is also the design. The art for this is really awesome. The sketch from Tay is really memorable. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, I was really impressed with a lot of the art that you've gotten, and I do like the monsters that you put in there. Definitely got the Lovecraftian vibe, even the thralls and all that. It's very cool. We got a super chat.
Nice.
$5 from Tim Griffin. Buying a drink for Gary. Matt gets one after Lent. Well, thank you. We really appreciate
Gracias, muchacho. Drink up.
Very nice.
I too am drinking for Matt. He cannot drink for himself right now. Jesus says, no drinking, Matt. So I will drink for you. Okay. All right.
But Geed says yes, right? Yes.
So, well, one thing I wanted to ask you, because I know you're sort of the conversation has sort of been your evolution from one to the next. When you look at a zine, just generally, when you're looking at other third-party creators, what do you typically look for? Like, what kind of content? A guy named Grim Jim, he's an old OSR guy. He's got a YouTube channel, and he does a lot of Lamentation reviews, and he gave me a nice review, which was nice. But one of the things he said was just generally the problem with adventures is they tend to be one and done.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, is it good to put in extra content above just like your adventure, you know. That's something I kind of struggle with myself. Like, should I add a little bit more here, like an option for the player? And you said yourself with Color Out of Space, you're trying to give some more player facing. Is that something that you were like, hey, I want to give something more, make this like able to be reused? Like,
great question. I think like I think the foundational layer is, what do the spirits tell me I need to write? And it's like, that's like the foundational layer. So like if what I'm writing ends up just being an adventure, then that's what it becomes. But for this one, I'm like, oh, I'm getting hit with a font of inspiration and channeling creativity to do the fighting techniques, or to do the alchemist and the barbarian class how I envision it. So I'm like, all right, yeah, this scene's gonna have some player facing content, because you know, it has to just come naturally for me. Otherwise, like, I'm not gonna force myself into, you know, it just doesn't work that way for me, right? It has to be with whatever is natural. It would be nice if all of them had player facing content to have that longevity, but at the end of the day, you gotta go with what you're inspired to do. I think as far as my perspective for buying stuff, right? Since I, like, 99% of the time, I'm like the forever DM, right? I'm shopping for cool adventures that also have cool mechanics that might inspire me to like open up a new door that I hadn't even thought of, you know, in terms of design that I hadn't thought of exploring, or, you know, and like, the idea of it one and done doesn't really, yes, that if you only have like one group perhaps, but I'm blessed to constantly have groups to play with, and also new students to teach the game to. So a lot of the content that I get, that I buy, I'm using it multiple times over and over and over again. Like, one of Kelsey's starter adventures, right? The Scarlet Minotaur, Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur, really, I think is a great way to start players into Shadowdark. It gives you hits a lot of different notes well, and you know, I've run that one like 5 times now. You know, so like, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that. So, you know, they can only go so far, but yeah, and for me, like, hey, if you got a good idea, $10 to $15 or $20, whatever, to me, it's not a big deal. I want to grab that. I want to support that person. So, you know, even if it is a one-shot thing, those are good memories to build.
I like that answer.
Yeah,
I like that answer a lot, actually.
Well, I'm really in support of zines, and I really wish that more of the third-party guys would go that route.
yeah,
Because it is, you know, everybody wants to write a book. Fuck, man. That's especially if you've never done it before, you know, give me an adventure, give me a couple cool NPCs, right? I mean,
yeah.
give me a dungeon, I'm good to go. And then do it again and make it better. And if you want to connect them. Maybe I'll use your lore, maybe I won't. But I think zines are really, for right now, we have so many systems out there. There are so many game systems out there. You can't play them all, you know? And I think find your game, write your zines. I think that is the way to go. I think you're on the right track. I'd like to see more people kind of follow that path.
And, you know, I like what I like about this too is, you know, as I've gotten more experience as a dungeon master, I can really just pick up adventures that anybody makes for anybody's system, and like adapt. I'm confident enough in like at least in the different systems that I play, that I can take something from Pathfinder, or I can take something like from Gary Gygax, you know, I've been running the Keep on the Borderlands, and it is so much fun, but I just adapt it to the system that I'm playing in.
You can run Keep on the Borderlands for an entire fucking campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep on the Borderlands.
Good.
Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. They should still be selling the old I don't pick your art, red box, or, you know, the older art, and they should have a copy of Keep. It should be like chess. Here's your player's book. Here's your referee's book. Here's Keep on the Borderlands. Go. It's perfect.
Yeah. And like I just take that and then use whatever system you want and just make the tweaks. Like again, once you build that literacy of like monster, how you can adapt things, then yeah, I just now grab whatever adventure for whatever system that looks interesting to me, and then I'll adapt it to whatever campaign I'm in. But you're absolutely right. I do think that rather than like they should just keep on printing this old stuff. Like I would love to actually, I'm sure like I can go on eBay and buy a bunch of first and second edition books, right? It's all there, but and then you can get it print on demand through drive-through, I guess. But I'd love to, see that stuff still on the shelves of the local game store,
Yeah,
Keep on the Borderlands is
that
like
matter
the
me?
classic archetype for that. What?
Yeah.
Did I freeze or did you freeze?
We had a little hiccup there, but you're good.
Okay. All right. This time it's both of us.
Me.
Wow, now you were doing it too.
It's the internet. It works in mysterious ways.
But I was just saying, like, keep on the Borderland is such a classic archetype for setting up any kind of sandbox game, and you can add stuff to it, which is another kind of thought process with Western Reaches that's coming out. Like, we'd love to highlight third-party guys like yourself that can add to whoever's about to sit down and start Kelsey's Western Marches style game, right? So they can add stuff to it. We can do that same thing. That's why actually I did with the Shadowdark on the Borderlands thing. I did with my Dungeons and Dads game. I found some Shadowdark modules that made sense, dropped them in. They're actually like one-page dungeons, really.
Yeah.
But I knew a guy. He was really into, God, I can't remember what system it was. I think it was Dragon Slayer. Gillespie's Dragon Slayer. He took an old school dungeon that was written like 15 years ago called Stone Hell, and instead of the Caves of Chaos, he put Stone Hell there. And Stone Hell is this like abandoned prison that's now been taken over, and that ended up being his campaign, and he was running it for like 2-3 years. Sounded awesome. I think I played once, and then my work got in the way. But anyway, it's that sandbox stuff that it's so old school, and it just gives you, as Gary was saying, could potentially give you years of content for like a $15 book.
That's what you make such a good point. Like that's another one of my pieces of evolution, right? Like I used to run like the adventure modules pretty heavily from like Pathfinder, Rise of the Rune Lords. One of my favorites is Strange Aeons, because that's when I got really into Lovecraft. Run Strange Aeons. But at a certain point, it's like, I was running those as close to the words on the paper, and it felt kind of railroady. And then I'm like, all right, I need to do my own thing, right? And then I started exploring sandbox play more. I love sandbox, man. It's so much fun. And like I like to do the zero to low prep style. Lots of random tables, like emergent storytelling. Like Shadowdark has really turned me on to like expanding in this kind of realm as a dungeon master. And so I've done a lot more sandbox play in all of my, even if I'm playing 5e, I try to do more sandbox play these days. And I'm really excited for the Western Reaches to like, further expand my horizons on that.
I'm so curious about Western Reaches. I think I've shared this a lot of times. I don't do a lot of Kickstarters, and Shadowdark I like it. I really like it, but it's not my favorite game. But I did the Western Reaches. I probably got caught up in the hype. She hit all the right people. You know what I mean? She was talking to some of the YouTubers I like. She talked to the brosers.
I think she came on your guys' show too, right?
She was in the chat.
That's right.
Yeah, she was in the chat.
Yeah, I think I saw that episode. Yeah.
We were like, we were just sitting there, and you saw both of us do this at the same time.
What? Yeah, double take.
Well, and also, it's funny because I think I bounced off of Kelsey for like 3 seconds at North Texas, right? And she's really sweet. She took a picture with us. Everything was great. But there is this, I do kind of worry sometimes. Matt, I may never have told you this, but I don't know if we're cool enough, man. I just don't know if we're cool enough for Kelsey to come on the show.
We need to get more subscribers.
I think she's a busy person, but you know, it's hard to
there's
hard to commit
that.
to everybody, right?
She's a rock star. She's a rock star, you know, and rightfully so. She did something amazing, and I love the fact that she took the time to bomb our chat. B, remember to mention that she bombed our chat during one of her live streams. And then when we were at North Texas Con, it was like I came up to her and I go, "Hi, my name's Matt. I go by Lord Mattias." And she goes, "I know who you are." And she gave me a hug. And I was just like, "Oh, hi. Nice. Can I get a picture?"
Yeah.
So she's great, but one of these days we'll get her on. It'll take some time.
Just I mean, I'm sure if you email her or email they can calendar something out.
Yeah, I think I keep saying, I think slow and steady wins the race. I think we're doing the right thing. We're talking to people we want to talk to.
Yeah.
I'm not starting any shit.
I'm trying to be good. I'm being good. I'm trying.
I'm not.
It's hard, man. The internet's a crazy place. It's hard not to get rage baited.
You know what's
so
crazy? And oh man, we're getting to the end. I'm on drink number 4, so I'm just gonna say, I really do want to be friends with everybody. I really do. I have this thing in me. It's not that I need everybody to like me. I don't really give a you know, I'm a Gen Xer. If you don't like me, I don't really give a fuck. But if I had my choice, I would make friends, like honest friends, with just about everybody I meet. And the internet is so the fact that so many people, their first interactions are on the internet. It's just I hate it. I hate it.
A lot
I
of
hate that side of the gaming community.
Yeah, a lot of it I think comes from the old days when the OSR was all on Google Plus and they were yelling at each other all the damn time. So we got a super chat, $5 from Atmos. Did Grim Games talk about the Fishmonger's secret? It's a cool dungeon. We did mention a little bit. Why don't you give a quick rundown, because people who back this can also get that as an add-on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Fishmonger's Secret, I'll just plug it a little bit. It's my first zine, so be nice. It's it's in collaboration with my my sister and one of my close friends in Meat Space here in Reality. We worked together to make it. I did the writing, they did the artwork and the formatting, and so. But yeah, it's a a Lovecraft inspired cosmic horror adventure. I intentionally named everything by a sort of like title and place, and I wanted to keep those things not specific, so you can just add to it. It's also inspired by Darkest Dungeon in that sense. In Darkest Dungeon, you go to the hamlet, you go to the mansion, you go to the Darkest Dungeon, you find the ancestor. The thing from the so in here you're in the seaside town, the fishmonger, the mayor's son, right? It's all sort of titled that way, and then you can add the names if you want to. But essentially, the fishmonger, she has this. She brings up this really amazing fish every day to her stall in town. People eat it euphorically. She's actually a Deep One hybrid, right? But in disguise, kind of like some Shadows over Innsmouth vibes here. And eventually on the mayor's son's 20th birthday, is sort of like the coming of age in this particular light lore. He goes missing on his birthday celebration night, and the search of the town yields nothing. In the morning of the fishmonger is nowhere to be seen in her stall. She never misses a day, and so they go investigate her hut, and there's a secret hatch leading down deep into the Shadowdark. And the mayor barges into the tavern, calling upon the drunk adventurers that happen to be there. Hey, a full bag of gold for anybody who can bring back my son. And so it's a rescue the rescue the mayor's son mission, but with some twists. And as you delve below, it gets a little bit more creepy, a little bit more, all the lore drops, and you find out what really is going on with the Deep One infestation, if you will. So that's kind of like the elevator pitch, and there is a secret boss in there that you can avoid, but if you can beat it, I've only had one table actually beat it in person, so it was you should find it and have some fun. Anyway, there you go.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, you one of these days you should run it for some people, and me and Lord Matei should be in there, because Matt, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. How come every time we play together you try to get our characters killed? It's like a goal of yours.
Because it's fun.
Us to die.
Yeah, it's fun. He's just we're playing an Adventure Conquer King game, and I'm using one of Alexander McCrease's books called By the Sax. It's dedicated to dwarves, and there's a dwarven class called the Spore Caster where I worship mushrooms, and I talk to this like transcendent mushroom being. It's very Lovecraftian. It's very weird. My character can like talk to dead bodies and make them into spore zombies.
Oh, cool.
I freaking love it. It's great. And I'm like the weirdest character. Everyone else is like, I'm a fighter, I'm a salesman, and I'm like, hi, I talk to mushrooms. It's great. I love it. I'm having a blast as a character, but I also want to cause trouble because I want to get gold so I can make my beer, my hallucinogenic beer. Which can allow me to do more things. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
And you're going to
and it's fun.
I'm not a salesman, motherfucker. I'm an adventurer. I will slice you.
Yes, but I would love to run it for you sometime. I mostly play in person, so I'm not well versed in. I have like almost no experience in VTTs, to be honest with you. But
I don't like VTTs personally. Yeah, I do a lot of theater of the mind. I do a lot of theater of the mind when I play.
Right. When I play online, I'll just use like a whiteboard app or something. Yeah. Or I have used Tabletop Simulator over COVID, but yeah, whatever. If you guys want to run it sometime, I'd be happy to.
Well, I tell you, VTTs are not fun. I was telling Matt earlier that I'm in my player arc. I've been a forever DM for a long time, and this year I'm taking some time to be a player.
Nice.
Chubby is really good with Roll20. And when you play a game with someone who knows how to run a VTT, it's like, okay, yeah, he's always passing notes, giving us different things, and the maps are always. He's good at it, but I can barely turn this motherfucker on. If Matt didn't run the tech, there would be no show.
Yeah.
It would be two boxes.
I'm barely hanging
YouTube screen.
Yeah. I'm just a caveman lawyer.
Andrew, do you keep a YouTube channel going for your stuff? Do you have
I dabble in the YouTubes. I have a YouTube channel. But yeah, like you said, it kind of goes back to like learning and experimenting with the zine designs. It's also the same thing. It's like, how does this YouTube thing work? I don't really know, like thumbnail game. I don't really want to. I just put my stuff out there and do the best I can.
So I can make a video. I can get a live stream going. Making a thumbnail. I've had like 3 people look at me and be like, I taught you how to do that. And I'm like, bro, then you walked away and I forgot.
Exactly.
I am not that kind of person, motherfucker.
I keep like a book, bookmark tabs on my browser of all like the YouTube tutorial. I have a whole folder of YouTube tutorials because it takes me about I would say 3 to 5 times to keep learning a particular technique before it sets, and if I don't use it, I lose it. Right. So
I gave up.
Yeah.
I had someone make our logo / title card or whatever, and then I just sort of mess with it when I do the promos and stuff. But yeah, but I also told Gary, you're never gonna see me do one of these. I'm never gonna do that. I am never gonna do that.
I'll do it every day of the fucking week. Put in every title of every thumbnail, put Shadowdark, and just be going.
Yeah. Look, I'm
Yeah.
very I'm shameless. Like with my students, I love to make them cringe, right? That's one of my things that drives me is like stealing their lingo and then making it go out of style, right? And so like, yeah, making a cringe thumbnail once in a while. But yeah, again, I'm not going to waste a ton of time on that because who's got time for all that extra?
Yeah.
So I just want to make the content, make the video, but it is what it is.
It's funny with gaming, there's all these little subsidiary hobbies, right?
Yeah.
You've got the guys who are printing their little books, their zines. You've got the YouTube guys. You've got the fucking resin printer, 3D miniature printer. And these aren't inexpensive things necessarily. They're not the worst, most expensive. It's not golf, but it's not without cost.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the game at all. But God damn it, we need to do more somehow.
Yeah. I hear. Yeah, and there's there's so much. You have a finite amount of time, right? Everything is a cost benefit analysis. It's like, okay, if I have these many hours in the day, I can research algorithmic maximization, or I could write more of the zine. I'm going to stick with what I enjoy. Prioritize that,
Yes,
and
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So otherwise, it's kind of comes back to dungeon mastering in this way. Like I dungeon mastered so many systems that I like, or so many, not systems, but like I dungeon mastered so much 5e that I'm like, I think this time I'll finally have fun with it. This time I'm like, oh, maybe I just don't like this system. You're gonna get burnt out if you keep doing stuff. I mean, it's not rocket science. Why you keep doing stuff you don't enjoy, right? You're gonna get burnt out doing it. So you got to find the system that works for you and the things you like to do, right?
I just had a similar experience where I had cracked it. I had figured out how to do the story mystery. I cracked not for the first time, but for probably the 10th or 12th time, I had cracked the code, and I was going to guide players through a story, and it just.
Oh no! Did we lose Gary?
Nope.
Oh, there's Gary.
You see me?
You Thanos out.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you were leading your players through.
Oh, I was going to, but it never works out. Sometimes it works. It works better than others. But really, like I'm pretty much, I'm gonna get clipped again. I don't care. It's actionable. I just found out it's actionable. I have legal leverage, motherfuckers. Clip this shit. I think.
I should.
I think sandbox games are the way to go. Sell your book. I hope it sells a lot.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we got a few minutes before we gotta say goodnight.
Sure.
I always ask this question to everyone I meet on the who comes on our show who's a creator. Gary Gygax, first edition Dungeon Master's Guide, the Appendix N lists all the authors that influenced the game, him and Dave Arneson, the whole crew. What's your Appendix N? What, aside from Lovecraft, what books, music, movies, art inspires you to write, inspires you to be a game master, inspires you to play, that gets you jazzed about the hobby?
Yeah, well, I mean, throughout this broadcast, I've shared a few. I think like a lot of video games. Like I've been gaming since I was 4 years old when I got my first Nintendo. I think a lot of that shapes part of that. Like I grew up with Final Fantasy, the good ones. Growing up with like all that. Music from Nobuo Uematsu, like the Darkest Dungeon I mentioned in this stream. That one was huge. Like I think I forget his first name, but Swartwood He's the composer of the soundtrack to that. Like that's one of on my playlist. The soundtrack to that game is phenomenal. And it really gets me in the mood because it's got a nice mix of battle music as well as that horror. I really, I want to get more into. I've started to investigate more of sword and sorcery as well. So I want to start reading all the Conan stuff that I totally missed out on as a kid. Never read it, but I love the aesthetic of Conan, and I want to dig into that more. As far as like Lord of the Rings, I mean, I feel like these are like mainstream takes, but
hey, if that's what it is,
it is what it is.
That's
right?
totally cool.
I don't like have a ton of like super unknown niche things, right? But yeah, Lord of the Rings is very inspirational. Like the seeing those movies in theaters when I was in those prime years with a family on Christmas each year, that was big. I'm not like the biggest avid reader, so
It's hard
I'm
to
most
read these days, man.
Yeah,
everything's moving too fast to sit down and read a book. It's crazy.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I missed a lot of those early like Robert E. Howard, Conan. Like I just started like as a personal project, start reading some of that stuff. And you know what I read for the first time? Like I know the Tarzan story. I think we all do because we've seen like a movie or whatever.
Right.
But when you actually read Edgar Rice
fucking
Burroughs,
great.
It's just I was just like, holy shit, Tarzan is awesome. Like I want to
boy,
Tarzan, so
I totally want to dig.
Motherfucker, I love those stories, dude.
There's so much on the list to do because like I think one of the big go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I was lucky enough that I did read Conan and Tarzan and the Mars stuff when I was younger, which is one of the reasons you didn't clip this shit too. When somebody handed me Lord of the Rings, I was just like, because
I
was like, this is the most boring shit I've ever.
I was the reverse.
Oh my god,
I read Hobbit and Lord of the Rings when I was like 6th, 7th grade, and I was just like, and then I read like Dragonlance and stuff. So,
right.
But
I had already read Conan and all the Lankmar stuff, and had graduated to like Zelazny and really, Tolkien. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all good. Like all that
stuff. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I get
What's
it.
up,
welcome. I think one of the big, like in terms of like cosmic horror, right, outside of Lovecraft, right? I would say Junji Ito's work. I don't know if you're familiar with his manga, but absolute like some of the most grotesque and horrifying like work out there. It's beautiful. You should.
I'll check it out. Yeah,
Uzumaki is like a seminal work. It hits all the notes of cosmic horror. Like I think what I like about the stuff is happy endings are so cliche, right? I think why I gravitated towards it is because it's there are no happy. I know it sounds terrible, but it's like it's very refreshing.
I'm a grim dark guy myself.
Yeah, like I also I know this doesn't really like influence the writing perhaps, but like I really liked a dystopian like George Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm, and like all of that kind of work was a big deal for me because I really like those. Like how could everything go wrong? So horror in that sense is really inspiring for my work, I would say. Yeah, but definitely check out Uzumaki if you never checked out any of his other work, because that's like one of like the gateway drugs into that particular manga.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten into too much manga, but I'll check that out. That sounds really cool. I've never heard of it, so I'm sure you've seen this, but I gotta ask: did you watch?
World of Horror. I see that in the chat. Yeah, that one's cool. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Did you watch Nicolas Cage's in Color of Space? What did you think?
It's cosmic horror is not easy to do in film. I'm guessing that's why it's not done very often. But
yeah.
Nicolas Cage does crazy well. So
yeah. Yes.
So I think like I think that was about as good. Like that, I really like that movie.
I love it.
Especially,
Yeah.
especially because like, you know, at the end, I mean, not to, you know, you get a little glimpse of that like unknowable reality away over there in the stars. I thought that was like
That is the
perfect.
first horror movie I've
Yeah.
seen in decades.
Yeah.
That I almost turned it off.
Ooh.
I think you know the part. There was the part
Mm-hmm.
where, and I was just like, oh god, because I was my first time parent. I'm just like, oh god, I don't know. But like, I'm like, okay, I got to muscle through this.
Yeah.
Man, it was good. It was very good. Anyway,
I would say like probably I'll give you one more because it just came to my mind. But The Thing. Oh my god.
Yes.
The Thing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. That is
Kurt
one
Russell
of my favorite
version?
movies. Yes, the one from the 80s.
Dude,
right? So good. And like
that
the
might be
atmosphere.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
I
one
kind of
of
feel
the
like yeah, that and Alien might be the only two horror movies you ever need to see.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
huge.
horror fan. Horror really like I just want to watch nice things.
Event, if you're, I don't know if you've seen Event Horizon. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I don't think I have yet, but I
That's
know I've
like,
gotten that recommended to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one really effed me up when I was a kid. Anyway,
cool.
Any last questions from chat? You guys have been great, by the way. Really appreciate the super chats, the questions.
If I didn't get into any of your questions, feel free to DM me later. Happy to answer anything you'd like to know about any of the work or whatnot.
Andrew, real quick before Matt signs off, I just want to tell you that I wish you the best in everything you do. I love the effort you're putting into things. I think I told you at the beginning that to me it's obvious you have a sense of quality control, right? I think there's a lot of, and I'm just going to say it, there's a lot of slop out there where people just kind of want to get finished. They just want to finish it and get it out there. I think your stuff shows your care to, you know, how you want it to look and how you want it to play. And I would just see, keep going and let us know when you got your next thing going on.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah. This has been a great conversation. You're definitely, you know, if you ever want to come back on, let us know. We'd love to have you on again. But I guess with that said, chat, thank you very much. Andrew, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Hope everyone has a great evening or rest of your weekend because our watch has ended. See you guys next week. Take care.
See you.
We're out, bitches. I'm drunk as hell.
I try to have this really nice outro.
All right. Very cool.